It is Monday, March 4th, 2024, 7:30 p.m., and I call this meeting of the Needham Design Review Board to order. I'm the board chair, Mark Glusing. I would like to confirm that members and applicants are present and can be heard. So when I call your name, please respond. Bob Dermody,
Here.
Steve Dornbush,
Here.
Susan Opton,
Here.
and also attending is our town staff, Elisa Lichman. Applicants, if you'd please respond. 30 Dedham Ave, the common room, Tom?
Yes, I am here.
Okay. Welcome to this open meeting of the Needham Design Review Board, which is being conducted remotely. Consistent with state orders. The orders allow public bodies to meet entirely remotely, so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along. For this meeting, the Needham Design Review Board is convening by Zoom app, as posted on the town's website on the Design Review Board page, identifying how the public may join. Ensuring public access does not ensure public participation unless such participation is required by law. All supporting materials that have been provided to members of this board are available on the town's website. Public is encouraged to follow along using the posted agenda unless the chair notes otherwise. Please note this meeting is being recorded. Please be aware that other people can see you, and take care not to screen share your computer unless the chair approves. And please remember to mute your phone or computer when you are not speaking. I'd like to review the remote meeting procedures for tonight's meeting. I'll introduce each applicant on the agenda. After they conclude their remarks, I will take comments or questions from the Design Review Board members. After discussion, each vote is by roll call vote. The building department requires electronic submission of building applications, Copy of your application stamped and noted for the type of approval that it receives will be emailed to you by DRB support staff. That can then be attached to your permit application. So to start with the first item on the agenda, that is 30 Dedham Ave, the common room, and Tom is here from Fast Signs. So you want to take us through the application, Tom?
Sure. Should I share?
Yeah, go ahead.
Ooh, can you all see?
Yes.
All right. So this is for the common room, which is opening any day now. And it is to show they're going to be going right here where the Latin A was, and then here where the Latin American cuisine was. For this one in specific, the customer requested we made it just large enough to cover. You can kind of see it in this photo. There's a kind of shading from where a previous sign was. So he wanted it just big enough to cover that. And that one will be a aluminum bar frame sign. This gray is the outer frame that will actually be black. It's just there to show the proportion. And then the text, the common room, would be a 3/4 inch acrylic. The sides painted the gold color, and then the fronts will be vinyl so that we can get the distressed kind of marks in there. This hash border will be printed on vinyl. So the background will be vinyl, the text will be acrylic and vinyl. Then the next one will be similar, except no 3D. So it'll be another bar frame with the black frame around the edge. And this will all be printed on vinyl for the background. And then again, being placed right here using the existing lights, which we know we need to rotate a little bit. But existing lighting and existing awning, for now they're planning on keeping this green awning. Down the road they may change that, but at this time they're sticking with that same one. And so these are them to scale, and I think that's pretty much it. Similar to others in the area, few aluminum bar frames up and down the road. And some 3D letters there. And that's pretty much it.
Okay, thank you. Steve, do you want to start us off?
Oh, you're muted.
Sorry, yeah. Sign looks good. Couldn't be any cleaner and simpler. The only question I have right now is, and I leave this to greater minds with math than I am, that proportionally it's not too big, that it fits, it's appropriate for the space. But other than that, I actually don't have any questions. It looks pretty straightforward.
Do you mean big enough for the space?
Well, the one next to the door, is it bigger than the previous sign that was there? Just
I think a couple inches wider.
I know there's a proportion to the size of the sign and the space it's on. Just want to make sure it wasn't too big.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a little different because the others,
Yeah.
as you can see, but it didn't have a solid background. So the volume, to me, the volumetric impact of single letters is always less than when you put it on a big panel.
Okay.
But we can talk about that.
And the only other question, are they planning on putting anything on the glass like the previous restaurant?
Not at this time. Again, that's something they are thinking about, but when I talked to them, I guess they were debating down the road these windows here. They're thinking about potentially doing similar to how Blue on Highland has the folding windows that open.
Mm-hmm.
So again, that's not set in
Okay.
stone right now, but that's why they're not planning on doing anything on the windows yet, in case they decide to do that.
Okay, well, I'm good.
Okay. There are restrictions on those if you start to look at those, Tom. So make sure you
Yeah,
take a
that
peek at those as you go ahead.
you mean the
Window
monoline
graphic.
Oh yeah, yep.
Okay. Susan?
Oh, Susan, I think you were muted.
I don't have any additional comments other than I like the signs. I think they're nice.
Thank you.
Okay, Bob?
I concur. I like the signs. They're simple, straightforward. However, I do think the one next to the door is just too big. That's a 5 foot by 5 foot square. And I get the idea. I like the hand. It's near the door. That's fine. I'm fine with the sign there and all, but I just think the size of it's just too big. And to Steve's question, what is the size of that gray space? Is that scaled in that image?
It is, yeah.
Okay. Just a 5 foot, that's a big sign, I think. And especially next to a door, the door is probably 3 feet wide. So it's just exact same sign I would propose, and I'd like to hear my colleagues' thoughts, just shrink it proportionally a little.
I agree, actually.
Yeah, I think one of the things is the word common is actually larger on that sign than it is on the
On the other one.
upper wall sign.
Yeah, I know the C in common is definitely larger because it's kind of the font's like.
And I think, if you're at that point within a hand's reach of the door, it doesn't need to be 5 feet by 5 feet.
To a degree, it's they're trying to be their identity on Dedham Ave as you come up Dedham Ave. But I
Yeah.
think given the size of the negative space around it, is a little tough. I did pull up Street View, and the little spoon sign, while it's individual letters, has a similar top to bottom height as the sign they're proposing where the Latin American cuisine is. So I agree with the board that one seems to be fine. But the
Mark, you're muted.
Sorry, I let go. So 5 foot square right next to the door seems a little
Eh,
big when.
I have no problem with the sign there and its shape. I like the hand. It's the
Yeah.
door. It's entry. It's all great. The colors. It's just literally just the size of it.
Okay, suggest a reduction.
I think it's happening before our eyes on the screen.
Oh,
So this is so there are temporary banners up there currently.
Yeah.
I guess the restaurant booked a private event for some
Oh.
families with disabilities for last week. So we got some temporary banners up there. So that actually is the 5 foot banner there right now.
okay.
Oh, I should have walked by there today on my walk.
This right here is 4, I think. Yeah, 4x4.
Oh, I like that better, actually.
Yeah.
You might want to lower it a little. I don't know. I'll let you judge the height when you're there.
True, actually, because if the awning is there,
It looks a little bit more in scale to the space.
Yeah,
Yeah, thank you. I think that's helpful.
good, Tom. Thanks. And that's 4x4?
this is 4x4. Yep.
Yeah,
I think that's fine.
okay. Susan, any other comments?
No, I think it looks much better.
Okay. So I would take a motion to approve the,
I'll move the motion.
well, let me kind of
Oh,
finish.
sorry.
That's okay.
Sorry.
Appreciate the enthusiasm.
Oh, I'm trying to be helpful. Just trying to help.
He
That's-
could move that you have to do all the work from now on.
Yeah, the rest of that motion was Steve runs the next meeting.
No, you believe me.
So take a motion that we approve the upper wall sign as submitted and that we approve the wall sign adjacent to the entrance on the condition that be reduced to 4 feet square.
Friendly amendment, just so there's no
Yep.
confusion, 4 feet by 4 feet, because sometimes 4 feet square can mean
4 square
2 by
feet.
2 by 2.
Yep, okay. So that the wall sign by the entrance be 4 feet by 4 feet and adjust the print accordingly.
Okay, I'll move the motion now.
And why don't I second it?
Okay, and we come to the vote. Bob,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Susan,
Yes,
and the chair is yes. All right, Tom, thanks. Looks good.
Thank you,
Good luck.
Tom.
Oh,
Good luck to them.
just a update. The Blue Lotus that you all approved, what, 2 weeks ago, I think,
Yes, the
Hey.
projecting sign.
are now arguing with the landlord. The landlord wants them to take down the other existing one if they want to put up the blade sign. So she's going back and forth with the landlord. So that
Okay.
one's on hold as of now, but
All right, well, good luck. I think we said from the beginning that that was a good sign for them, so,
so we'll see what happens with that one.
all right.
All right. Thank
All
you,
right, good
everybody.
luck. Thanks, Tom.
Thank you.
Okay, and so in the interest of making it an evening, I added some discussion of the Hone project that the town is working in, the committee that's studying the MBTA housing requirements, and they're doing a thing. I did speak with Lee today. And Alex did send us all the design guidelines for downtown Needham Center, which was, I forgot what a package that was, because I worked way back when, and there was a lot of discussion about what to do where and how to do it, and that wasn't us, that was a committee of of group. So I feel like they're asking us to do a lot to fill out all their other zones when they don't even know what they're doing yet. So I did want to just talk with the board about maybe what we should look at and think about. They have a new proposal. Let's see if I can find it here. But that's not. There we go. So they have where they have these existing zoning parameters, they got setbacks, height, things like that. So those are the existing. My understanding is that where they're going to change the zoning is simply in these existing business and industrial districts, not in the two-family zone and not in the single-family zone. So their approach is limited to that. So what I'm thinking is that I'm just gonna sort of random thoughts here, that we should look these over there, compare them to the areas where they have another regulations in place, which is Chestnut Street and the Highland Ave, which are in that booklet, and the Needham Center, the town center. Those all have ideas. So, you know, but you can see here, there's things about like if it abuts MBTA, no rear setback or not. So just kind of look at those and then look at the maps and figure out where these different areas are and their neighborhoods around them. And then think about if we can offer any input as to how they might compare, or whether they apply these same regulations that they have existing for this bit out to some of these other areas. It seems to me that maybe the apartment zones, I haven't looked at what they've proposed yet, but I just feel like, well, my thinking right now is I'm going to look at these different zones, see what the existing is, see what the proposed is in the proposed regulations that they've done so far. And if they haven't done anything yet, then we'll have to look through further and talk about it. But they asked me to come to their committee meeting this Thursday night, so I'm going to do that. If anybody wants to go, I'd certainly be happy to have company.
What time?
Well, it's a 7 o'clock meeting, but we're last on the agenda, so it probably, she thought it'd be around 8:30 or 9. So it'd be
Oh, okay.
rather late.
All right. Well, maybe you could text me.
I might be able to go. It's just,
Okay.
where is it?
It
It's at
should,
town.
I have to go back. At least as at PSAB, that's at the Public Services Building.
I
Typically,
have to check.
yeah, I'll forward the
Yeah,
the agenda that I got today.
Okay.
okay, you include me in that too.
Because I just, you know, when I've worked on these before, they take a lot of thought, and you know, we've never really talked about those kinds of issues. We review things that come in related to the zoning that exists, but we haven't ever really tried to decide what to create, you know. So we can talk a little bit more about environmental impact of, say, the hillside industrial area across the street from the senior center, and then some of the apartments. But I don't feel like I have enough background study yet to do much. So any ideas on how to proceed with them, if we can help them at all? One thing I was thinking with, and I mentioned to Lee, was that do we want to consider maybe like we did with Town Hall, Bob, the fire station, Bob? Remember, we kind of met with a subcommittee
Yep.
of the town group doing that, the Permanent Public Building Committee and their architect.
Yeah.
Maybe we want to have a couple meetings with a subgroup of that committee. You know, if they just assign just a couple people, and a couple of us could, or all of us could kind of look at it a little more in depth with them outside of the whole committee. I mean, this is just a boatload of work that they're trying to do in a year, a little over a year. I mean, the last large house study committee I was on, it was 2.5 years before we proposed regulations.
Yeah, I haven't even begun to look, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But I do want to. It just, one is to, you know, talking amongst ourselves here, like where we might agree to start. And then two, meet again to have a conversation among us.
Okay, well, why don't we go to the Hone, or whoever can go to the Hone thing, will just hear what they have to say. And
Yeah. And
what
this
they're looking-
document we're looking online on the screen right now, did that get sent to us yet?
I think we sent it last time, but I'll send this again. I downloaded this from the town website.
Oh,
This is-
okay.
This is an update to the stuff that Lee sent us last time for the last meeting.
Yeah, because it says February 29th, so
Yeah.
that's,
Well,
yeah.
I'll forward this, or I'll forward the link.
Yeah, forward the link, that's fine.
Because it's a big
Did
file.
everybody get that? I got a booklet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the current downtown study. But if you page through that, you'll see there's all sorts of sketches about streetscape and building angles and heights. And I like, is that what they're looking for? You know, or are they really just looking for some?
Right, like information, like widening sidewalks. But I actually tried to get through it. It was hard for me because it's not my area, but
Yeah.
it was interesting.
It was interesting. I don't know if this is off topic or not, or maybe it is in topic, but was there any discussion about what just happened in Milton, where they just completely discarded this whole thing?
I don't know. I haven't, I started to watch the last meeting and there wasn't any audio and so I gave up, but I was told now that the audio starts, 20 minutes into the meeting. So it is on the town's YouTube website. It was a long meeting, so you might want to run it at 1.5 speed so you get through it.
Good idea.
I assume they've talked about it, but
And which meeting are you referring, Mark?
the last Hone meeting
Okay.
probably discussed it.
And well, that's just, I mean, one thing is just keeping track of these meetings.
Very hard, yeah.
I went to select board last week. They were interviewing design firms to look at the downtown streetscape too.
Yeah, I saw that.
So I just listened into that for a little while.
I have a question. I'm a town meeting member. Is this going to be presented a proposal at town meeting this
Yeah.
year?
Yes, it will.
It will be, right?
Yep. It's a zoning bylaw change, so it requires 2/3 of town meeting approval.
Spring or fall town meeting?
It has to be done this year, so I think it's in the fall.
I think that's what I heard too, because
Okay.
the spring sounds ambitious.
No, they won't be ready.
Right,
Yeah.
that's why I was asking, actually.
Yeah.
So there is a little time for us to think about it and give them some feedback, but I think I'm curious to hear, just to have a discussion with them Thursday about what it entails, and also to give us some time. We should look at what the regulations are in Chestnut Street now and in the center and then that Highland Ave corridor. Just we should familiarize ourselves because those are in place. So if you build a multifamily structure with some related retail space on the first floor, that's allowed right now. But there are some requirements on it. There are regulations about how that happens. So I'm trying to refamiliarize myself with those and see, and maybe that's so simple that those can be used in most of the other areas that don't have that yet.
Yeah.
My only, so that institutional area there, that's that little Gould Street next to Mills Field and the tennis courts. And that apartment district is where is that the Avery School was, Bob?
Wait, one is Cricket Field, is it not?
Oh, okay. Am I too far up? Oh, that's west. Yeah, so that's Cricket and
Yeah.
oh, that's that Brookline rug.
Oh,
Yeah.
right.
Honeywell.
Yep, off of Honeywell. Yep, Cricket's just the green thing up above.
Yeah, and this is is that apartment.
Avery,
School.
the
Avery
old school and
Yeah.
Avery Manor.
And it has a fair amount of turf that they own with that.
Right.
So it's sort of like, what's the environment adjacent and how do we deal with that?
Well, and another big thing is a lot of these districts back up against typical residential single-family houses, which, when people find out about this, they're gonna, I think, be concerned.
Yeah, it was interesting. It's, have you been to Berkeley, Bob, California?
Yes.
Anybody? So Andy lived there and he was in a little 2-family house rented
Yeah.
half of it. Next door was a full-size house behind him, a nice sort of older single-family house. Next to that was a 6-unit apartment building on a pretty big lot. So it was bigger, but then next to that was a house. Then across the street was an 8-unit apartment building. You know, and once it gets built out, that whole mix of pieces worked fine. I mean, it was a nice environment. It was more dense than a bunch of single-family houses. So that is a change here. But, you know, my wife was saying, you know, it really reminds, when I was explaining what we were looking at here, she said, well, you know, it's really like the Berkeley model where you just mix them up enough that
Right,
it's
but
the impact lessens. It's the first 2 that go in that are the ones that
Right.
drive it like crazy.
and it's true in suburbia, I think, and including, you know, change is hard for people, myself included. But I listened into a meeting about the Linden Street last week, and you know, a few people spoke about they're just concerned about 4 stories.
Yeah.
And so I think that's something, not that that's our job to worry about, but I just think that's an issue here. And I like your point about this is the beginning. You know, it gets built out, it'll get built out. I mean, there's buildings in downtown Needham that I think people cried about, the one behind the common room. And it's, you know,
Yep.
it's there, it seems to be working.
Yep.
Mm.
And that would be you know, that's a 4-story building. So,
Yeah,
but what they did was required the 4th floor to be offset 20
right.
15 feet, 20 feet. So
Maybe that's
I
the
think
kind of
it's,
thing
is
they're
that the
looking
kind
for
of thing
here.
we want? Yeah, so that's the kind of thing we want to talk about with them here. Or that if it's a 4th floor, that it's in a 1/2-story sort of roof and dormer type space, or
Right.
that starts to pre-decide sort of what the design is rather than a more contemporary roof line. But so I think that's kind of what they're hoping we can help them with. But yeah. Well, and if it's the consensus that 4 stories is a lot in an A1 zone or in this zone around, that's a lot of 2-family housing. But say
Yeah.
this is the Rosemary Apartments now, so it's just what
Yeah.
would those,
They're already multi-story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
are they 3? I think they're 40, they had 40 feet of height allowed.
One half is 3, the other half I think might be 4.
I don't think there's any 4-story there. That'd be too tall. But we'll have to take a look. So that's where something like that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure where this zone is.
I was trying to figure that out too. That's down at St. Sebastian's. That's the old
Oh, yep, there's an
80s.
apartment. Yep, there's an apartment complex there
with
now.
an inset. Yeah.
Hampton Court, I think it's called.
Yeah, Charles Gate East.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's probably certainly a good choice for a little more density.
Yeah.
So it's a little urban planning thought, a little abutment thought, and then a little bit of like, well, what if we're doing these larger things, what kind of streetscape do we want with them? We want them close to the street, so it's really a little more urban. Want some landscaping requirements. Like Steve said, some sort of textured sidewalks or things like that. I don't know. I don't know how far there's going to be time to go. So
Yeah.
if they can get them in place, comply with the law, and then amend if they want. I think as I look at the town, I think the most likely, the easiest ones to change at this point is sort of along Highland after Eaton's funeral home. There's a small office building that was sort of a little warehouse factory behind it.
Yeah.
That I renovated a few years ago with a developer, and you know, I think if he could, depending on other parcels that he has in the area, if he could get contiguous control, he could do a nice commercial on the first floor, 3 stories of apartments above, and that seems like the best spot for it. You got a train as a buffer, and then another row of backyards. So these are going to be, you know, we're not going to see a lot of these, I don't think, in the end come up. It's like it's just difficult to consolidate the land ownership. But they are trying to make it, you know, there's sort of 2 approaches that I've heard talked about, is sort of you can do the bare minimum, comply with the law, but the likelihood is not a lot happens. And then
Yeah.
or you can be more expansive and try and get something to happen. And I think they're gonna, like, we can ask them that on Thursday. But it sounds like they are gonna provide two options. They're leaning towards two options, where one is the minimum, and then they have some regulations that expand the areas that it can happen and expand the allowances a little bit, so that there's a little more possibility of something getting redeveloped. So, okay, so I will forward the agenda that I got from Lee today, and
The meeting
Okay.
starts at 7 and it is at PSAB, but it's
Yeah.
also virtual by Zoom. So it's a hybrid.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Lisa. That's good to know.
yeah, I'm at least gonna go, but yeah, if you want to zoom in, that would be great too. Okay, let me get out of this. All right, thanks, guys. That was good. I've just, I'm just been a little kind of overwhelmed trying to figure out how to approach it, so
Yeah.
I just wanted to brainstorm a little bit.
Mhm.
Next item is to the minutes of December 12th. No, February 12th, sorry. Get out of this. Okay, and we were all there, so that's good. So any questions or comments on the minutes from February 12th?
Nope.
All right, so I would take a vote to approve the minutes. Motion to approve the minutes of February 12th.
I'll move the motion.
I will second.
All right, and we vote. Bob,
Yes.
Steve,
Yes.
Susan,
Yes,
and I chair is yes. Okay. And a motion to adjourn.
I will move the motion.
Second.
And we come to the vote. Bob,
Yes.
Yes.
Susan,
yes.
and the chair is yes. All right, thanks, guys.
That
Thank
was
you.
our quickest meeting.
Huh?
That was a very quick meeting.
Still not our fastest.
I know. What are you striving for that?
Oh, well, we're efficient.